We have now 344, still increasing number. Yeah. We are now 229. Another minute, yeah. Okay, we are now 2:30 sharp. I think we will commence with the webinar. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good afternoon all for attending the first webinar of 2026 of the Southeast Asia Public Health Nutrition Network. Hope you all sit comfortably, and we will go through. We have quite a lot of presentation, quite a number of presentations sharing you various aspects of dietary guidelines in Southeast Asia, and do sit comfortably. Just run through a few slides on the housekeeping. Yeah. Next, yeah. So please keep your microphone muted at all times so that we can all listen to the speakers. Yeah? So during the Q&A session, you can drop a note into the Q&A box. If you see a little circle that says more, you click on that, you can see a Q&A box, and it may be easier if you drop your questions there. Then we can try to attend to as many questions as possible. But bearing in mind that it's going to be a very tight schedule, and there could be many people interested. So please keep your video off also, unless you are speaking later on. And please also join only one device, so not computer and phone at the same time. That will bring about a lot of disturbance in noise echoing into the system. Yeah, next slide. Next slide. Yeah. Presentation slides. We have asked the speakers if they can allow their slides to be converted from PPT into PDF. Then we will upload on the South Asia Public Health Nutrition Network website. We will share these slides for those speakers who agree 3 weeks after this webinar. And this is the link, yeah, to reach out to the CPHN website. Go to the tab on resources. You just need to register one time, or if you are a previous visitor to the website, then you can download from the resource center. Yeah? Next slide. So attendance of certificate, some have indicated interest to receive a certificate of attendance. So please complete a form, a simple attendance form. At the end of this webinar, we share with you the QR code. You will then receive instruction how to download your certificate approximately 3 weeks after this webinar. Yeah? So again, you need to log into the CPHN website, the resource center. You can download the certificate. Yeah, at the end of this webinar, you receive the QR code on how to access the form to receive the certificate of attendance. Yeah. So I think we can now move on to next slide, where I will welcome you as chair of the Southeast Asia Public Health Nutrition Network. Welcome all warmly to this first webinar of 2026. And very warm, yeah, very hot outside in Southeast Asia region. So I'll just share with you some slides about the CPHN network, our organization, our main activities. I'm sure some of you have attended our webinars before, but just to see that everyone has some idea of what we are, who we are, how to link up with us in future communications, yeah? So I will share my slides, if I can find my slides. Yeah, green, and then I think this one. Is it this one? It is a slide.
I think that's a projection deck, Dr. T.
Projection deck. Okay, wait, let me stop share again. That's the same problem I had just now, right? I must open up this slide first. Okay, now let me share. Oh, no, this one, not this one. Sorry. Stop share. I need to find the slide. I think this one. Mira, this is the one?
Yes, Dr. T.
Yes, Dr. T.
Okay. Let me put it into projection mode. Okay. So please mute your mic, yeah, all your mics. Please mute all your mics. And so now I'll share with you a little brief on the Southeast Asia Public Health Nutrition Network. And we were established 2014, like 11 years ago. And it is a multi-stakeholder collaboration amongst the nutrition societies of the Southeast Asia region, working with like-minded corporate companies. This is what our unique feature of South Asia Public Health Nutrition Network. There are now 6 nutrition societies collaborating in this network. And over the years, we have corporate partners working with us. And current corporate partners are Quaker, PepsiCo, and also Ajinomoto. I would like to make a special mention here. Ajinomoto just joined us as a corporate partner. We call them associate partner, so associate member of the CPHN. So technical persons from from Quaker and Ajinomoto join us in planning activities and discussing the problems of the region, progress on public health nutrition in the region. Yeah. So this is a council member, current council member, 2025 to 2027. Basically, they are the presidents of the 6 nutrition societies. And I must also introduce clinical professor Nalini from Nutrition Association of Thailand. She's the vice chair of the CPHN network. And run through very quickly the activities of the CPHN network. One project we're very proud of is collaborative among the societies in the region, and we developed a educational module for nutrition education to primary school children. We call it Good Nutrition Key to Healthy Children. Yeah? So the modules are on the website. I will not spend time describing this, but they're on the website in English, in Malay, in Tagalog, in Vietnamese. You're welcome to use this module for school children in your country. Yeah? We are still using it in Malaysia for Malaysia's School Nutrition Promotion Program. Yeah? We organize webinars, scientific seminars, conferences, though so far not on a regular basis. One of the big one is the first Public Health Nutrition Network on your left, and then the second Public Health Nutrition Network organized by Nutrition Association of Thailand. And between that, we have many, many webinars, and this is one of them. One of the webinars is this webinar on dietary guidelines in the region. Yeah? So this is the latest webinar we did on 21st September last year, specifically focused on whole grains, nutrition about whole grains, and education, communications. We even had a culinary demonstration using whole grains in various kinds of recipes. Yeah? So very exciting symposium that we did. And the webinars and reports, and including symposium, the reports are all ready, and we have deposited them on the CPHN website. You're welcome to look at what were the discussions there, what were the presentations, the main sharings with each of these webinars and symposium. Yeah? So Nutrition Leadership Program is another important flagship program of this network, and we collaborate with Nutrition Society quite a bit, also with the CPHN members, so that we have leadership program, including nutritionists from other countries in the region. That is very important for interaction, sharing of experiences and knowledge among nutritionists within the Southeast Asia region. Yeah? So this is a CPHN Nutrition Leadership Program. We have numerous publications, and the most common ones are we review the important documents of the Southeast Asia region. For example, you see Food-Based Dietary Guideline we published in 2016. Then you see in the center of the screen in color, red color, we reviewed all those dietary guidelines again. We published it in December 2024. We will publish a shortened version in the Malaysian Journal of Nutrition. We also look at the National Plan of Action for Nutrition within the 5-6 countries in the region to see how each country approach these very important national topics, national programs together. We can all exchange experience and share how each country approach these kinds of important national documents, policy documents for the region. Yeah. These are the regular meetings we have. Previously, before COVID, we used to meet physically in the different countries. Since COVID, we have not been able to meet physically, and also because of very heavy financial requirements. So we have been meeting online at least once a year, most often twice a year. All the council members meet, associate member, corporate members meet. We exchange ideas on what are past achievements in your society, what are the plans we should focus on for CPHN network in the coming year. So we usually do this one at the beginning of the year, another one at the end of the year. Yeah. So this is a dedicated website we've established for the network. Do visit our website. Interested in the various documents of Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, and so on. They're all there already on the website. So do visit this website. You can download these documents for free, and all the reports of webinars that I mentioned earlier on. Yeah. So just 2 slides for just concluding remarks. In the past 11 years, we believe that CPHN network had made tremendous progress over the years. We try to make a difference to public health nutrition in the region because as professional bodies, we feel we can also contribute towards public health, alleviation of public health issues in the region, will contribute to government programs in improving the nutritional status of the region. Yeah? And we find that this public-private collaboration partnership works very well. And the multi-stakeholder approach between all societies with the private companies has enabled us to do many activities and make our activities more and widespread to various stakeholders within the region. Yeah? So this is a network that we want to continue to work together, and we will support government efforts in promoting healthy nutrition in the region. So we will find ways to provide more activities such as this one and more in the months to come in this year. And I think we need to work together cohesively as societies in the region, together with the corporate sector, then we can bring about much improvement in providing the proper science for public health nutrition improvement in the region. I think that's my last slide, and thank you for your attention. This brief introduction to the Southeast Asia Public Health Nutrition Network. So we will also, if you allow me to share with you, the Asian Congress of Nutrition coming up next year in September in Kuala Lumpur, organized by the Nutrition Society of Malaysia. And this is under the auspices of the Federation of Asian Nutrition Society. So all the participants on this webinar, please share information regarding this important conference in Asian region, which will support Asia and make Asia more stronger in combating malnutrition in the region. Yeah? And so this is now we come to the webinar of today. And this one, as I mentioned, we focus on dietary guidelines in the region, relevance of dietary guideline, and science-based messages to the people, not confusing the people. And then we will now share this LPDG from the 6 countries, and many countries also share their view about the United States dietary guideline. For this part of the webinar, I would like to invite, go down, yeah. This is the program. You would have seen this, but anyway, we will have the 6 country reports, yeah, go by alphabetical order in the usual manner. And this will be chaired by Professor Nalini. And then the second part, we'll have a panel discussion. We'll have 3 eminent professors in the region to share with us views on specific topics in relation to dietary practices, dietary pattern, and dietary guidelines in the region. Yeah. So for the first part of the webinar, let me stop share first. Yeah. So then you can bring back the webinar deck. Yeah. So I spent 15 minutes. Yeah? Okay. So we would like to invite Professor Nalini to chair this first part on country reports on their national dietary guidelines. Yeah? Can you move the next slide? Professor Nalini is vice chair of the CPHN network and also previous former president of the Nutrition Association of Thailand, and she's specialist in pediatric nutrition specialist. Yeah? And she has many contributions to research, clinical practice in the Southeast Asia region and also Asia region. In fact, she's now on duty. So she said that she may have to run off to see some patients. So anyway, we can proceed and see what we can do. Please welcome Professor Nalini.
Thank you very much, Dr. T. Welcome everyone for this. I think it's a very important and interesting webinar about FBDG. As we already know, Dr. T already mentioned about the one that came out from the US. Now we're gonna learn and discuss from our country, our area, Asian country. I would like to start with, according to the list, we're gonna start with Professor Hadinja from Indonesia first, right? Yeah. Professor Hadinja, yeah. Let me introduce Professor Hadinja and at this point. Actually, he is the council member of CPHN network. He also professor of nutrition at Bogor Agricultural University, president of CSR Society of Indonesia. And recently, he also member of the IUNS, right? Member of
Yes,
IUNS.
correct. Yeah.
He gonna be contribute a lot from this part to the world. And he gonna share with us about the food-based dietary guideline in Indonesia. Professor Hadinja, please.
I am not sure whether
Can't reach Prof. Harding, Dr. D.
do you see his name here?
No.
There are people waiting in the room, maybe. People waiting in the room. Prof. Nadine, we can also
He's
go.
here already, right?
He's here. Ah,
Or should we
go to Laos first, yeah, Prof. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
maybe we move to
Lao
To the-
PDR.
the next speaker first?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have 6 countries. So no matter what, we're gonna listen from us
Yes. We listen to him.
to everyone. Don't worry. Okay. So so now the speakers gonna be from Laos. Dr. Bunthom Pengdi. She's the president of Lao Nutrition Association. Actually, Lao Nutrition Association is was recently joined CPHN just recently, and
Yes.
very welcome. Dr. Bunthom was also the former director of Nutrition Center, and she has been involved with many nutrition-related activities, including adaptation of national nutrition training course guidelines and development of cascade training programs. Without further ado, I would like to ask Dr. Bunthom to present to give her presentation. Dr. Bunthom, please.
I can start.
Yes, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Lao Nutrition Association, I would like to present today about healthy eating for Lao people and food-based dietary guidelines in Laopedia. Next slide. Laopedia does not yet have a fully established national food-based dietary guideline. However, several nutrition messages and dietary recommendations have been promoted through national nutrition policy and program. These efforts are mainly led by the Ministry of Health and in collaboration with development partners. The aim is to improve the diet quality and reduce malnutrition among a Lao population. Next slide, please. Now, current nutrition messages in Laopedia. Current nutrition recommendations in Laopedia focus on improving diet quality and preventing micronutrient deficiency. Key messages that include promoting dietary diversity beyond rice, increasing consumption of vegetable and fruit, encouraging balanced diet across the life course. Improving, this is important, improving nutrition among women and children. Next slide, please. Now, diversity beyond rice. As you know well, rice in La PDR is the main staple food in La PDR and contribute a large proportion of daily energy intake. However, relying mainly on rice may lead to micronutrient deficiency. People are encouraged to consume food from different food groups, including vegetable, fruit, animal source food, legume, and nut. Improving dietary diversity is particularly important for children and women. Next slide, please. Now, nutrition during critical life stage. Nutrition is especially important during key stage of life. 0 to 6 months, exclusively free only. 6 to 24 months, nutrient-dense complementary feeding. Adolescent, balanced diet and reduce intra-processed food. For pregnant and lactating women, there should be increased intake of iron, folate, and calcium-rich food. Next, please. Healthy eating habit. Healthy diet also require healthy habit and safe food practices. We have the key recommendation that include limiting sugar, sodium, and unhealthy fat. Choosing healthy fat such as fish, nuts, seed, and vegetable oil. Drinking safe and clean water. Practicing good food hygiene. These habits help to reduce the risk of diet-related disease. Next. Now, what are the practical actions? Several practical actions can help improve nutrition in Lapidia that include promoting home gardening. This is very important point. Encouraging diverse meal with vegetable and protein food. Supporting nutrition education in community. This is we have to work hard how to change the behavior change of with the people on nutrition behavior change. Then promoting healthy lifestyle and physical activity. Next slide, please. Now, a comment in the U.S. dietary guideline. The U.S. dietary guideline provide comprehensive and evidence-based recommendation across the life course. Key strengths include the promoting whole and minimally processed food, reducing alcohol consumption, and offering diverse dietary patterns such as vegetarian and vegan options. However, some recommendations may not fully align with the lab context, particularly regarding higher intake of protein and dairy products due to difference in dietary culture and food accessibility. Therefore, adaptation to local food system, cultural practices, and availability of food is essential for applying these guidelines in Lao PDR. In La PDR, additional strategies such as improving the diversity and exploring rice fortification programs are important to address micronutrient deficiency in La PDR. Next slide, please. Now the last slide, conclusion. We have 3 points of conclusion. First, improving dietary diversity and healthy eating habit is essential for strengthening nutrition and health in Lapidia. A second point, promoting balanced diet using locally available food can help prevent micronutrient deficiency and improve population health. The last point, continue collaboration between government and development partners is important to advancing national nutrition effort. This is the last slide. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Hello, Dr. T, and all. Sorry that I forgot I'm in the meeting. Yeah, please.
Hi, Professor Haninja. Actually, Dr. Bunthom already present her part, and yours gonna come up next. So, thank you very much, Dr. Bunthom, for very interesting information. Is there any comment or we can have presentation from all 6 countries first, and then we have discussion later, right, Dr. T?
We can do that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Bunthom. So now we move to the next presenter speaker, who I already introduced, but I can reintroduce again. Welcome, Professor Hadinja. May I have, yes, thank you. Professor Hadinja is a council member of CPHN Network and already mentioned that he also a member of IUNS recently. And he was the president of Indonesian Food and Nutrition Society. Right now, he moved to the next step up to worldwide contribution. Without any further ado, I just would like to ask to hear from Professor Hadinja about food-based dietary guideline from Philippines. Oh, sorry, from Indonesia. Professor Hadinja, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. T and Prof. Nalini and all the speakers here. Very sorry about this. Indonesia already formulated the food-based dietary guidelines since 1995 and already revised twice. The second one started on 2014. Now it's already 11 years old, the second dietary guideline of Indonesia. But the similar thing, the previous and the second dietary guideline in Indonesia is especially about the food groups and about the measures of eating a variety of foods, and also about consuming, suggesting to consume breakfast and limited sugar, salt, and cooking oil consumption. The difference between the previous one and the second one, it is about the suggesting consuming plain drinking water, and also about the maintaining ideal body weight. Yeah, and now also is the time to by the government of Indonesia, especially Ministry of Health, would like to review to start to formulate the new dietary guideline. So among the 10 messages of the second dietary guidelines of Indonesia is not mentioned about what Malaysian dietary guideline, for instance, about eating whole grain, for instance, and also is no information about the processed food. Yeah, actually, the dietary guideline also mentioned about the categorization of food using the conventional food group like cereals, and then animal and protein source food, and then fruit, vegetables, and the last one about the drinking water. And for the in US before said that my plate, Indonesia interpret it is, we call that isi piringku. Maybe in Malaysia called what, suku-suku, yeah. So the meal recommendation, it called here isi piringku. That mean the dish in my plate, yeah. So the isi piringku, or the dish in my plate, consists of about half of the plate. It is fruits and vegetable, and the half of the plate, it is cereals, grains, and protein source food. So we are now currently reviewing that one. And before the end of this year, Indonesia will conduct a National Food and Nutrition Workshop, which is done every 5 years for reviewing all sort of standard, nutrition standard and food Indonesia, including proposed recommendation and future policy for food and nutrition in Indonesia. So maybe next year we'll start to formulate the new dietary guideline for Indonesia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Harinja. We should we have any question right now, Dr. T, or not yet, right?
Maybe we compile all at the end, yeah?
All
and
six
then,
together.
yeah.
I mean,
Mm.
at the end of the presentation,
Yes,
we
yeah.
may have a discussion. So
Discussion.
now
Yeah.
we move to the third presenter from Malaysia, who Professor Mahendaran, who is currently the president of Nutrition Society of Malaysia. He also vice president of Malaysian Association of Sport Medicine, council member of the long list, council member of Malaysian Society of Body Composition and Sport and Exercise Nutrition lecturer at the Faculty of Sport Science, Recreation University. Sorry, I may pronounce it wrong. Particularly Mala Selangor.
Very right.
And
Prof.
we gonna hear from Professor Mahendaran about food-based dietary guideline of Malaysia that has been discussed, has been shared actually for in many meetings. And today we're gonna hear from Professor Mahendaran at this meeting. So Professor Mahendaran, please.
Thank you, Prof. Nalini. I must thank CPHN for giving the opportunity to NSM to present and share the information on the Malaysian Dietary Guideline. The country representative kind of statement. I believe that from Indonesia, from Laos, now from Malaysia now. Let me share. You all can see, right? Is it audible?
You can
Visible?
see it.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Continuing to share. Something is odd now. Stop
Please
sharing.
continue to share. Maybe start
Yeah.
again. Start. Strange. Never seen that before.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
Try
wonder
again.
what is the problem then. The same problem, Dr. T.
maybe
Oh,
shall we
okay.
what happened? Shall we share that?
Then
I think
Should we
something.
stop? Should you stop share first and then
yeah,
try?
yeah. I did.
You did already, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe shall we share the slides? Yeah.
No, I can't see anything now.
Oh, you can't see?
We're helping.
Yeah.
I can't see my slide and everything. I don't know where is it now.
Can you
You can see
see
the screen? You can see the screen?
No.
You can't see?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh God. What is
Prof.
this?
Mine, what's on your screen now?
I accidentally clicked the PowerPoint, so it is asking me continuing to share. I don't know what I try. I can't even come
Prof.
out from
Mahendran, just follow my style, Mahendran.
You can.
I can't even.
You can actually it's at the bottom of the screen now. The Zoom link, the Zoom.
No, it's not coming out at all.
Oh, we can see you. You're still in the Zoom.
Yeah. I can. But the problem is I can't see my slide. I can't see anything.
Oh, you can see the screen? Nothing,
Yes.
right?
No.
Okay.
I thought-
Maybe you need to come back. Have a coffee and come back.
My God, what is the problem now?
I think you just have to move because maybe the slides is shown in another panel of your
No,
Zoom.
yeah, he has only one panel, so maybe we.
There
So
could be
this,
another panel because it happens to me as well.
yes, there's another panel. You're right. Yeah, yeah. So strange things with this AI thing. Okay, maybe we might have to. Is mine still in the Zoom or it went out? I think he left. Let's give him a minute. He'll come back. Yeah. So he'll come back. Admit him. So in the meantime, we have 424. It's also streamed live on Nutrition Society Malaysia YouTube. Yeah. So you can still view this later on.
Gee, why don't we get someone else to speak and then mine can join in?
Yeah. Give him a chance to speak. Yeah. He'll come back. Yeah. Shall we? Did he text me? He didn't text me. Maybe probably shall we move on to next country? Yeah. Probably shall we move on to Myanmar first? Yeah. Maybe Prof. Nalini has to leave. Yeah. Okay, let me just introduce Dr. K. Man Chuen. I'm sure I pronounced your name wrongly. My apologies. Yeah. You're representing the Myanmar Nutrition and Dietetic Association, and Myanmar and Nutrition and Dietetic Association also recently joined the CPHN network. Welcome, MNDA. And you work also as a Deputy Director, Head of Nutrition Research Division, Department of Medical Research, Ministry of Health, Myanmar. Also lecturing in Department of Nutrition and Dietetics, STI Myanmar University, and in affiliation with University of Bedfordshire. Is you also country counterpart of IAEA Technical Cooperation and Nutrition Project, and we are very pleased to have Myanmar joining us and sharing with us your dietary guidelines. Dr. K, can you please share your presentation on dietary guidelines in Myanmar? Yeah.
Yes.
Shall we help her to share the slides? Yeah.
Yes.
Just a second, yeah. And you also can you see your slide? You're muted. You're muted. Click.
Can you see my slide?
Yes, we can see your slide. Yeah.
Okay, that's that. Good afternoon, everyone from Myanmar. And today I will present food-based dietary guidelines and provide comments on the new US dietary guidelines, focusing on their relevance to Myanmar and the Southeast Asia region.
Next.
And this is the Myanmar food-based dietary guideline developed in 2007 by the National Nutrition Center under the Ministry of Health and with support from UNICEF. The guidelines serve as a national framework diets across all life stages and emphasize four key areas. For infant and young children, exclusive breastfeeding is recommended for the first 6 months, followed by appropriate complementary feeding with continued breastfeeding and adequate dietary diversity. For different adequate nutrition is essential for pregnant and lactating women, balanced diet for children and adolescents, and nutritious, easily digestible food for the elderly. In terms of healthy eating practices, the guidelines promote eating a variety of foods, especially fruits and vegetables, choosing healthy fats, reducing salt intake with iodized salt, limiting sugary drinks, and drinking. Finally, healthy lifestyle and behaviors on food choices, positive health beliefs and behaviors, maintaining and engaging in physical activity and maintaining a healthy weight. Now, turning to the new US dietary guidelines, the key messages include eating real, minimally processed foods, increasing protein intake, promoting whole foods, and strongly limiting ultra-processed foods, sugars, and refined carbohydrates. These are particularly sound and particularly relevant for preventing anxiety. Several recommendations are highly applicable to Myanmar and South Asia region. Foods is critical as consumption of instant food contributing to rising rates of diabetes and hypertension. And promoting the fruits, vegetables, and diet diversity align well with Myanmar's existing guidelines, although accessibility and affordability remain a challenge. I think it's very important due to high consumption of salt and fermented foods in Myanmar. Finally, lifestyle approach is fully consistent with Myanmar's nutrition priorities. However, some recommendations are not suitable for Myanmar. The high protein intake recommendation that is higher than WHO recommendation and may not be feasible due to the cost and food insecurity in some regions of Myanmar. So the protein sources such as fish, legumes, and eggs. And the emphasis not only on animal-based foods, but also food as dairy is not Myanmar traditional step of garden. Similarly, recommendations on whole grains need adaptation as Myanmar relies heavily on fiber. A gradual approach, such as introducing mixed grains, may be more practical. In conclusion, while the guidelines provide a sound scientific framework, they need to be adapted to local contexts in Myanmar and Southeast Asia region. And the key message is to shift towards diverse, minimally processed diets adapted to local contents, which are culturally appropriate diets that are affordable and accessible. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Kai. And Prof. Nalini, are you back? Can you stop the slides here, Mira? Then we can,
Yes.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Yeah, thank you. Prof. Mandarin is back.
Sorry for the.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so that's, can you still try to share your slide again and see?
Can Dr. Tip.
Let's see. Yeah.
Can you all see?
Yes, yeah. And
All right. Okay. I didn't do anything at the moment. Okay, thank you again to CPHN for inviting Nutrition Society to give thoughts on these relevance of the dietary guideline, the evidence and the context for Southeast Asia. I think it's timely. We have discussed, and I think Dr. T already mentioned it in his welcome speech, talking about the FSBD that in the region, and we also published it in the Malaysian Journal of Nutrition. Okay. Then where our FBG food-based dietary guideline, it is under the Malaysian dietary guideline for 2020 at the latest. Like what the Prof. Hadin Shah said, we also started in 1999. That was the first one to issue, and then 2010, and then now the latest is 2020. And not only that, and we do have for special groups as well for children and adolescents. We have for the elderly group, for the maternal, and also the vegetarians. And this is the lead body by the National Coordinating Committee on Food and Nutrition under the Ministry of Health. And as Dr. Prof. Hadin mentioned about it, the Piring Sehat, Piring Ko, we have my Malaysian healthy plate, my healthy plate with the quarter half, a suku separuh, and definitely with the dietary guidelines book. And this is a combined food-based guidance for the practical plate model so that the public communication is easily passed over. All are based on the evidence-based, culturally adapted and designed for the both population messaging and national nutrition policy. And we do have about 14 key messages in the latest one, 2020, with 52 recommendations and 244 how to achieve statement. And this is all based on the country base and how we work together for our people, our population at large. And in terms of the US, I think they have changed many few things, whole food and shopper and anti-UPF messages, protein and dairy signals and public health continuity. This is based on their country. I would say that the signal is there, useful signals, but not a direct template for Southeast Asia. We need to see our context, our dietary guideline for our population base. So how we can see in Malaysian lands or the Southeast Asia lands, and we need to adapt and avoid few things that we need to be talk about in the policy base. And we need to look at the vegetables, and we need to look at the misleading nutrition narrative that have been happening, and focus on the diet quality, fresh foods, and home cooking narrative, also the specific guide for eating out environment. Adapt protein emphasization, we have to see in that based on our setting, plant-based or animal-based, which is we are looking at the adequacy, diversity, and affordability. And definitely dairy recommendation in our side, but we do need to see our conditions, that part, dietary practice and lactose intolerance and accessibility in Southeast Asia population. In terms of the avoid full-fat dairy, this is all the US trying to emphasize and positioning full-fat recommendation guidance. We should be tailored to the population base, and the higher consumption of animal sources should be not as in the default messages, and overgeneralization. And not all processed food are unhealthy. We need to see the context and type of processing matters. I believe this will be discussed more on the forum later. So we need to see regional reality, take like specifically on eating out food culture, food affordability, food local nutrient gaps must remain as central for the Southeast Asia food-based dietary guideline. So what will be the takeaway on the regional side? I would like to see the evidence and epidemiological reason. We need to work together on that to translate the local policy to become the public practice as well. Culturally fit, eating out reality, communication and implementation. This is a kind of things that we need to look we need to see the global guidance as an input, but an anchor of the food-based dietary guidelines should be a local evidence, culturally and affordability and the food environment. And always must remember that one size does not fit all. So Malaysia or the Southeast Asia within our need dietary guidance, then evidence-based, regionally aligned and locally usable. So this is kind of now the trend is all looking at the AI, how to put it. This is the foundation that we are looking at in the Malaysian adapt and then avoid and also adopt as well, adapt and avoid. And we need to see the global trend, but we need to see at the end is how Southeast Asia response are. And I would like to also promote about the NSM. We are having our NSM conference, which will be in July this year. Do please look forward and look forward to come to attend in Malaysian National Conference. And I think Dr. T already mentioned about the our Asian Congress of Nutrition. So with that, I say thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof. Mahendran, for the quick sharing and your views about the US dietary guidelines.
Yeah.
So we move on now. We are running a little bit short of time. Malaysia, we'll move on to Philippines. Yeah. If Prof. Nalini is still away, she did text me, Mr. Carl Cabanilla. Yeah, he is, I saw him online just now. And Food and Nutrition Research Institute, Department of Science and Technology, Philippines, one of the prime research institute in the region and Asia. And he works on nutrient requirements. I work with him on RNIs and dietary requirements, nutrient and nutrition assessment, stable isotope techniques, other research, vitamin A standard, very keen researcher, and provide a lot of useful information for use by researchers, policy makers, and program managers. So Mr. Cabanilla will share with us his views on the Philippines BDG. Carl, yeah.
Yeah,
You're
good
going to share
afternoon.
your
Can you hear
slides?
me?
Yes. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Your slides.
How about now? Can you?
Just a bit. Okay. Full screen show.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Dr. T, for that generous introduction. Before anything else, I would like to extend courtesies to my fellow speakers, the session chair, Professor Nalini, and to everyone else who are watching via Zoom and YouTube. So I'm Carl Vincent Cabanilla from the Food and Nutrition Research Institute, Department of Science and Technology, which is the government agency responsible for establishing and updating our dietary guidelines. So the official food-based dietary guidelines of the country is called the Nutritional Guidelines for Filipinos. I would like to start my presentation with this framework of NGF development. So we start with the nutrient-based standards. Right now, we have the Philippine Dietary Reference Intakes. We know that we don't eat nutrients, we eat food. So we need to translate the nutrient recommendations to food-based recommendations in the form of dietary guidelines. So the current FPTG in the Philippines is the NGF. And for consumers to better understand our dietary guidelines, we need to translate them into pictorial representations in the form of food guides. So we have here, I'm sorry, I'd just like to use the laser pointer. Yeah. So we have here the two food guides, the DNG Pyramid, which is a food guide per day, and the Pinggang Pinoy, which is a plate-based food guide per meal. So the Pinggang Pinoy did not replace the food pyramid, but rather it complements the daily food guide. So this slide shows the various food guides through time in the Philippines. We started in 1948 with the basic 6 food groups, and then the 6 food groups became 3 food groups, and then it was further revised into a one or a single circle in the late 1970s. And then in 1996, the Philippine Food Guide Pyramid was introduced, which was modeled after the US Food Guide Pyramid. And then in 2012, the current FBDG was published. And in 2016, we released the Pinggang Pinoy, the plate-based food guide, which was actually published 5 years after the USDA My Plate. So you can see a pattern here. Right after the publication of the US food guides, the food pyramid and the My Plate, um, a similar or counterpart food guides were published in the Philippines. So the question is, are we going to adopt the US inverted pyramid, which was released this year? So this is now the current dietary guidelines of the country, the 2012 nutritional guidelines for Filipinos. Take note that the name is nutritional guidelines because these pertain not only to diet but also lifestyle. So we have here 10 key messages or simple statements that promote healthy eating to prevent non-communicable diseases. And the first 8 messages pertain to diet, or these are the food-based messages. Message number 1 is about eating a variety of foods every day. Message number 2 is exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months, followed by appropriate complementary feeding for 2 years and beyond. Message number 3 is about consumption of vegetables and fruits. Message number 4 is consumption of protein sources, both animal and plant sources. Message number 5 is the consumption of dairy products and other calcium-rich foods. Message number 6 is about consumption of safe foods and water. Message number 7 is about food fortification, particularly the use of iodized salt. And then message number 8 is about limiting intake of food components of public health concern, like salt, sugar, and fat. And then message number 9 and 10 pertains to lifestyle or behavior. So message number 9 about normal body weight through proper diet and moderate physical activity. Message number 10 is about making healthy food choices, managing stress, avoiding alcoholic beverages, and not smoking. So right now we are in the process of reviewing and uh, possibly updating our nutritional guidelines. We are adopting the FAO's food systems-based dietary guidelines methodology, which goes beyond health outcomes. It integrates sustainability considerations. So the process started last year, and a technical working group was established. So now we go to the US dietary guidelines, 2025 to 2030. The National Nutrition Council, which is the highest policy-making body and coordinating body in nutrition in the country, issued this statement. The NNC statement emphasizes that local dietary tools, such as the DNG Pyramid, Pinggang Pinoy, and the 10 Commandments, remain the most appropriate foundation for guiding healthy eating practices of Filipinos because they are grounded in local data and traditions. So when the US DGA was released this year, the technical working group convened to assess the relevance of the DGA, the current DGA, to the Philippine context, particularly to our dietary guidelines. So we enumerated the various key messages from the DGA, and then we assess whether these messages are aligned or relevant to the dietary guidelines. For the messages, eat the right amount for you, eat vegetables and fruits throughout the day, limiting highly processed foods, added sugars, and refined carbohydrates are all relevant to the local context. But when we look at the message on protein foods, we realize that it is not aligned with our local context. We think that protein food recommendations for Filipinos must balance high nutritional quality, meaning pertaining to the animal source foods, with affordability, cultural relevance, and common consumption patterns. We also observe that since protein is found at the top of the pyramid, um, so more protein rather than the carbohydrates, which is not aligned with our acceptable macronutrient distribution range, and also with the protein goals. For the US, they have 1.2 to 1.6 gram per kilogram body weight, which is greater than our local dietary reference intakes, which is based on the WHO recommendation of 1 gram per kilogram body weight. We also noted difference in the message on consumption of dairy. The DGA recommends 3 servings of dairy every day, while the NGF recommends just 1 serving per day. So the Filipinos are not actually natural milk drinkers. A significant portion of the population are lactose intolerant based on data. And most of the milk supply in the country are actually imported. When it comes to gut health, there was no explicit message in the NGF, but we note the message number um, uh, 8, which is recommendation of consuming safe water and food. And then for the next message on incorporation of healthy fats in the diet, we note that the meats, poultry, full-fat dairy, butter, and beef tallow are not considered sources of healthy fats, which was uh, indicated in the dietary guidelines of Americans. We also note, no, in the Philippine context, we use coconut oil as our cooking oil, and it's part of the traditional diet of Filipinos, which is not high actually in long chain fatty acids, but in medium chain fatty acids, which are not associated with adverse health effects. We note that tropical oils have implied warnings in the dietary guidelines of Americans. For the whole grains, it was not explicitly stated in the NGF, but we note that the message on whole grains was included in the Pinggang Pinoy collaterals or resource materials. We also highlighted the local root crops as whole foods and climate resilient carbohydrate-rich foods. And lastly, we note the message on alcoholic beverages, which is not aligned with our dietary guidelines. In fact, our dietary guidelines recommends avoiding, not just limiting, alcohol consumption. I think that's my last slide. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Thank you, and thank you, Carl, for this sharing and very clear point by point discussion reference to the US DG. We are running behind time. Personally, are you back? Probably not. Let's move on to, we now have Thailand, yeah. Dr. Bisa Ratana, and she's government official within Bureau of Nutrition, Department of Health, Ministry of Health, Thailand. She's deputy director in that department, and I meet her in the Nutrition Association of Thailand, very active there. She's also secretary of the committee for formulating, implementing FPDGs. So most pertinent person to speak on in this forum. So Dr. Visaratana will share with us briefly the Thai FDA, and then if some comment on the US FDA. Dr. Visaratana.
Hi. Well, thank you very much for your kind introduction, Dr. T, and good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to sincerely thank you, the CPHN, Dr. T, Dr. Revadi, and also Dr. Narini for inviting me to be the part of this important webinar. Let me briefly share the next slide. The share of Thailand's approach to developing our FPDGs. They are developed by National Multidisciplinary Committee led by the Ministry of Public Health with strong involving from the Bureau of Nutrition. The Current 2025 guidelines will be fully published this year in Thailand. Importantly, they are evidence-based, drawing on FAO WHO frameworks, Thai Dietary Reference Intake 2020, and national data reflecting Thai dietary pattern and context for ensuring recommendations are practical and achievable. Thailand's FBDG include, like many countries, the two main components. The quantitative guideline present as the nutritional flag showing recommended portion, and the qualitative guide with 9 key messages for healthy eating. A key advancement is that the new guidelines are now tailored by age group and activity level rather than the previous is a one-size-fits-all approach. Next slide, please. And this slide presents the qualitative guide, which includes 9 key food-based recommendations for healthy eating behaviors. These recommendations are based on the WHO healthy diet principles and global effort on nutrition and NCD prevention, which remain major challenges both in Thailand and worldwide, especially as we are facing the triple burden of disease. The first key message is to eat a variety of foods from all food groups, ensuring balance and efficacy, and also to maintain a healthy body weight. We also emphasize whole grains as staple foods, particularly rice, which is central to Thai dietary patterns. Another important recommendation is to consume vegetable and fruit daily. So in Thailand, fruit are available all year round, such as mango, durian. So we encourage regular consumption in moderately, but at the same time, we highlight the need to avoid excessive intake of high sugar foods. For protein, we promote quality protein sources, including fish, eggs, and plant-based options. And at the same time, we clearly recommend to limit fat, sugar, and salt, and also to avoid or reduce alcohol consumption as a key strategy to prevent NCD also. And in additional, food safety is emphasized too. Next, please. This slide highlights the quantitative guideline in Thailand, which provide recommended serving and portion sizes for each food group. In Thailand, this is present as the Thai flag shown here for working age adults. Also, it took around 3 years to develop. The guideline remain relevant and up to date, aligned with WHO healthy diet principle, including the latest 2026 update from WHO healthy diet. It is based on 4 key principles of WHO. It includes efficacy, balance, moderation, and diversity. And for macronutrients, Thailand recommends protein 15%, fat, a good fat 30%, and carbohydrate around 55%. A key improvement from previous guideline is more practical protein recommendations such as 1 egg per day and 2 tablespoons of legumes, as you can see in the protein group. And we also emphasize unsaturated fats and increased whole grain and fiber. And importantly, the new guideline integrated lifestyle messages include drinking enough water, regular physical activity, and adequate sleep. Next, please. And this slide shows both alignment and concern regarding the U.S. dietary guidelines for our region and my country. On the left, we see shared principles such as reducing ultra-processed food, limiting sugar, salt, and fat, and promoting vegetable, fruits, and whole grain. However, there are important concerns in our regions, Southeast Asia context. For example, the high protein and red meat emphasis may increase some risk related to saturated fat and does not align with our more plant-based diet, or whole grain or rice. And high dairy recommendations are not consistent with typical consumption pattern in this region. About Thailand, from survey, we drink dairy product maybe 1 and the 2 is possible. And rice is not a highlight as a staple, which does not reflect our food culture. So in Thailand, Bureau of Nutrition has communicated this concern based on evidence from leading academic organizations also, such as American Heart Association and Harvard University, that recommend and notice from this guideline when in the 1 or 2 months later. So overall, while global guidelines are useful, they must be carefully interpreted and adapted to local context. Next, please. So the last slide, I would like to highlight 4 key messages. First, local guidelines should be designed for local population, ground in evidence, culture, and real-life dietary pattern in each country, I think. Second, global guidelines should be applied uncritically, but carefully adapted to regional context is okay. And third, in the fourth block, regional alliance across Southeast Asia remains strong and highly relevant, I think. Our FBDG in our region shares 6 common core messages aligned with WHO, including diverse foods, grain, vegetable and fruit, protein, limit sugar, salt, and fat, and maintaining a healthy weight. These principles are still valid, practical, and up to date. So what we need to strengthen is not the message, but how we communicate it by adapting strategy to better reach different population groups. And finally, responsible nutrition communication is critical today, I think, from the social media. So if we get the message right and deliver it right too, we can truly make a difference in people's life to healthier eating. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Visaratana. And let me see. I think I like your conclusion slide very much and trying to bring balance to the different countries at BDG and practical for the region. Thank you, Dr. Visaratana. And now we move on to the last, certainly not the least, speaker and country, Professor Trong Tret Mai, and she's a council member of CPHN, Vice Director of National Institute of Nutrition, again, another fine research institute in the region, Ministry of Health Vietnam, and adjunct professor, School of Medicine in Vietnam, steering committee member of Vietnam Nutrition Association. In fact, she's very active in the Nutrition Association of Vietnam. And I work with her on National Plan of Action, recommended nutrient intake, and other items. Yeah? So Dr. Mai will share with us Vietnam's views on dietary guideline. Is this your slide? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Dr. Mai?
Yes.
Yeah, are you? Yeah,
Uh,
your slide? Yeah.
You can't hear from me?
Yes, please. Yeah. Yeah, your slide is here. Yeah.
I say already, but can't you see in my slide?
I can see your slide. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
I cannot see you. Yeah.
Okay.
You have your video?
Maybe there's some problem in my.
Oh, okay. Okay. It's okay. Yeah. Then at least you can see the slides. Yeah.
Yes, that's my microphone to change my phone. All right.
I can
Oh.
hear. The sound is okay. Yeah.
Yes, I think some problem in my webcam. Yeah, okay, no problem. Yeah, okay.
No worry. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon. Yeah, thank you so much in the CPHN invited me in to share in some information about the food-based dietary guideline in Vietnam. Yeah, that's only the 5 minutes, so I think you can just say, yeah. As you know, it's Vietnam. I think it's the same in the ASEAN country. Every 10 years, we depend on the lesson nutrition strategy.
You want to put full screen slideshow?
Full screen?
Slideshow? Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah.
You can see?
It's not slideshow, but it's okay. I think we can see. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, very good.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I think it's the same in another country, in ASEAN country, every 10 years. We have a setup in the new food-based diet guideline for the depend on the assessment the status of the population. So following in the objective of the and the indicator outcome for the national nutrition strategy. In the Vietnam, I think in the same way. So in this last year, in the miniature policy list in the for the recommendation for proper nutrition until 2030, the same another icon in the
Can you? Yeah, it's okay.
yes, attentive, yes. Attentive. So you can to see in the clearly in the attentive for the dietary guideline in the Vietnam now we focus in the I think in general in the another and the last periods I think the same is that we continue to put more in the guideline in the whole the population in the please eat the sufficient balance and the diverse variety in the food diary properly incorporate in the animal-based and the plant-based food. Yeah, I think it's the first recommendation for the whole the people. Is the second in the for the consume in the focus in the food rich in the micronutrients with the various colorful vegetable and fruit. It just mean in diversify and to get in the different in the vegetable and fruit in the to find in the more get more in the healthy diets. Because the Vietnamese people now is the consumption in the vegetable and food in the less than in the WHO recommendation, but now is just I focus more about this. The third we focus in to talk about the protein rich food appropriately. Yeah, so that means we now in the Vietnamese consumption in the increasing in the protein from the animal food higher than recommendation. So that's why I think of course we don't get in the recommendation in the limitation for the protein rich foods. So but I think in the balance in the protein rich food with the animal food and the plant based foods. So that's why I think we food market focus in the to please limit red food consumption. Yes, we focus on the recommendation for this. The fourth point we focus in the drink enough water every day. I think it's a very important for everybody. So I focus. The fifth in the we focus in the pregnant woman, breastfeeding mother is a continue with the prevention for the micronutrient deficiency during in the pregnant woman and breastfeeding mother. Yeah. The sixth point in the continue, we focus in the breastfeeding infant earlier is until the 6 and until the 20 month older. The seventh point, we focus in the limit in the consumption in the fried food and the fat food and the food high in the salt or sugar and sugar sweet and alcohol beverage. We focus in the talk more about the limitation in the processing food, including in the fast food and the with the food which has the sugar and salt. In the eighth point, we focus in the ensure food safety. Yeah, food safety now is that we hold the of course, I think in the food value chain, including in the food safety. So in the focus in the selecting and processing and storing food, including in the reading the nutrition labeling in the food is important for this point. We focus on is the ninth point. We focus in the talk about the meal in the how food culture is talk about the organize the family meal well, because do now in the for the Western food it come and to lifestyle in the very quick change, do in the for eating outside a lot of so bleed. I think we need to keep in the organize the family meal well, because I think in the to get more in the healthy diets and more in the healthy food, because get enough the meal and enough the food for the family member. Yeah, not a skip meal. In the 10, in the we focus in the maintain the control in the healthy weight. In the talk about is a more activity, physical activity, and doing change lifestyle for to get in more healthier. So in Vietnam now, last year we focus in now in the this food-based guideline in recommendation proper nutrition and cleaning. So during this time we building and to establish and approval for the new food pyramid for Vietnamese. We including in the 6 kind of the food pyramid for each group, from the children in the 3-5 year, and 6 in 12 year, and the 12-4 year, 15 and 7 year, adult people, pregnant, and elderly people, including a 7 kind of pyramid. Is a different. I think almost in the same the way for the using a pyramid in the for the including in the 7 states of the pyramids. So now we put on this pyramid, including in the unit and the portion of the unit for each group. Yeah. Okay, so I think in the almost general in information for the food-based diet guideline in Vietnam, we focus in the how to reduce the red meat consumption, reducing salt intake, and the increasing consumption food and vegetable, and limit intake harmful food, beverage, and the processing food with the high sugar and salt. Reading new nutrition information, food labeling to make healthier choice, and promotes emphasize appropriate regular family meal with the for healthy spirit with meal. So I think we talk more about a little bit in the talk about the compared to the dietary guideline for American. I think in the, as you know, in the I think in the we find one in the summary. I think in Vietnam now, almost we talk about some information as I mentioned, but I think it's compared in the U.S. dietary guideline. I think in the U.S. dietary guideline is a focus in the eat green food. I think it's good.
Professor Mike, you moved the slides. Is in your slide? Yeah.
Yeah, you can to see.
I don't see the slide moving. Yeah.
Yeah, this slide you can see. No, not yet. Okay, just maybe I come back. Is this slide you can see?
Oh,
That
okay.
Yes,
Okay.
okay. Yeah, sorry, that's maybe in the mistake from the for
No worries.
yeah, okay. So I think in the compared in the dietary guideline for American, I think in the some idea for this point in the Vietnam, as I mentioned, I think we focus some point, but in the US dietary guideline, it now focus in the eat green food. I think in this point, I think in the some point in the Vietnamese dietary guideline, I think it put point is it talk about the diversify foods and get more in the healthy diet. I think including eat green food. For the carbohydrates, US dietary guidelines reducing. I think in the almost in the Vietnam now is a fundamental way for the carbohydrates. Protein in the US dietary now, I think guideline in the I think higher than in the Vietnam now. In the Vietnam now, we put in the protein consumption around the 0.93 to the 0.5. depend on in the age group. Yeah. So, but I think in the US, by in the animal body foods, in Vietnam, we balance in the protein from the animal body food and the plant body foods. So I think you talk about, yeah, fat in the, I think US talk about the healthy fat, but the limited in the total fat. In Vietnam, we talk about the healthy fats, but including in the balance in the animal fat and plant fat. Yeah. So for the limited in the total in fat, I think the same. Talk about the unchild process in the strong resistance. So in the Vietnam now, we is emphasize, but in the true by the limited using the food high processing, including in the processing with the high salt and sugar. And gone in the, of course, I think in the US, that the guideline focus in the overweight and obesity, something in the non-communicable disease. In Vietnam, now we're facing in the double burden of the malnutrition. So that's why I think in the dietary guideline in the Vietnam now, we balance, including in the for the malnutrition and the overweight and obesity. So that's why I think different in the US the dietary guideline for the objective this point. In the cultural eating in the now Vietnam, we would like to promote regular in the family meal. It's very important in Vietnam now. We would like to set up in the Vietnamese food culture. I think is a very important for us. Yeah. So of course, eating outside, out of home, we agree. So, but now we get more in the food safety and for the food streets. Brenda is very important for us to continue. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Mai, for sharing the Vietnam FBDG and also your comments on the US dietary guidelines. So we are half an hour. Thank you, Dr. Mai. Yeah. So we are half an hour behind time, and I think I have tried to respond to some of the questions online. Some of them will need another webinar to discuss, no? So it's not possible to discuss all those details. And I suggest that we move on to the panel discussions, and we can you unshare the slides? Yes. Yeah. So we will now move on to panel 2, yeah? And we will have already 3 professors ready to share with us their views on various aspects of processed foods. And so let me share with you what we have in mind for the panel discussion. So we have 4 presentations here. Professor Jayakumar Henry, who talk about what's your verdict on ultra-processed foods. And Professor Aman Virakarta Kusuma talk about beyond ultra-processed foods and rethinking diet quality in South Asia, not necessarily based on ultra-processed foods. And Professor Purvi Yatno, who share about rethinking the dietary guidelines, what's the real world practices in South Asia countries, and especially focus on Indonesia, his experience in Indonesia. I will share very quickly then to round up. Professor Mai also talk about the eating away from home, eating out of home culture, just a few slides on this real world environment. What's a real world environment? It's not really just processed food. A lot of meals are taken out of home. So let's move on to the first panel member, Professor Jayakumar Henry, and Senior Advisor of Global Center for Asian Women's Health, National University of Singapore. You would have heard hear him speak in many times, especially when I was in A-Star, read his publications, very eminent professor in the region, and come to Malaysia very often. And let's listen to Professor Jayakumar's thoughts on ultra-processed foods, and we already heard something along by the other country members, and also in the US dietary guidelines. Professor Jayakumar, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. T, for inviting me, but also a very, very warm welcome to all our colleagues from all parts of Asia and beyond. It's wonderful to be here. And my task, commissioned by Dr. T, was to talk about ultra-processed food in the context of the dietary guidelines. Can I have my slides up, please?
Yes, can we remove this slide? Shall we? Yeah. So, Professor Jayakumar, we are running a bit out of time, but we really want to listen to you. Yeah.
Sure.
So, and also same with Professor Aman and Professor Puri. No. Yeah.
Thank you. So my task is just to set the stage for a very, very generous discussion that's going to follow. And I've kept my title deliberately a rhetorical question that you can answer. What is your verdict on ultra-processed foods? And many of you in this audience would have heard the word UPF. What's it all about? What is its relevance to our region and our society? Next slide, please. Our story begins around about 2008, 2009, when a medical doctor by the name of Carlos Monteiro in Brazil, and he's also an epidemiologist, observed a remarkable observation that teenage children in Brazil, reaching about 15, had a disproportionate large prevalence of obesity. And being an epidemiologist, he wanted to ask the question, what is driving this escalation of obesity? And he also noted that in his region of South America, and particularly Mexico, there was a preponderance of the consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages, where the Americans call as soda. And as you can see, the Mexican beverage consumption in 2010 was 163 liters per year. That's almost 5 to 8 times that we consume in our part of the world. And so he, being a bright clinician, asked the question, could the diet that we are consuming in the South Americas be the cause of the escalation of obesity? It was a question that was driven by public health, and I think that's an important point to remind ourselves. And the next slide will tell you that he was the one who devised the term NOA, which is not an abbreviation. NOA is Portuguese for new, and therefore he published this paper, as you can see on top, in Portuguese in Brazil, that he defined a new way of classifying food, and that's what he did it with a co-author who was from the UK, Geoffrey Cannon, that many of us know in the audience. Subsequently, in the same year, he published the first English version of the NOA classification in the Public Health Nutrition in 2010. So we are about 16 years into the journey of the NOA classification. So what's this NOA classification all about? Next slide, please. So this is in a nutshell the NOA classification. As you can see, let's spend 2 minutes on this, which is the heart of our discussion. NOA 1 is minimally processed, as the term implies. There's hardly any heat treatment. It's just what you use in a domestic setting. Then we have the second, which is the processing culinary ingredients, read as cooked food on your, they said can't see slides.
I can see the slides. Yeah.
Oh, somebody just said no see slides. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll keep going. So these are foods that you cook at home. And of course, the NOA 3 is processed foods that you and I are familiar with, canned foods, etc., etc. And the key differentiator was that Carlos produced this new nomenclature called ultra-processed foods, which is new in the scientific vocabulary because he articulated that anything that has food additives or artificial sweeteners or emulsifiers or has been processed in a commercial factory must be called UPF. Next slide, please. This is just to say the same slide in a different form, which is that as time went on, Monteiro redefined the nomenclature of ultra-processed food, which now means anything that has cosmetic additives, which is difficult to describe. But I just want to remind you to say 1, 2, 3, 4 increases in progression of processing. Next slide, please. Now, why has NOVA classification gained so much of global traction? Ironically, because it seems very simple to understand by the public. But in reality, it's not at all simple at all, because it is scientifically and technically inaccurate, because in food technology, there is no category called ultra-processed foods. There's processed foods and non-processed foods. But remember that Carlos was a clinician and he had a desire to find a solution to the escalation of chronic diseases, and he was looking at processing of foods that we consume through the lens of epidemiology, nutrition, and health outcome. Just to give you a personal simple example, bottled water, unprocessed, NOVA classification 1. Bottled water with a little bit of vitamins in it, because it contains a fortificant, it becomes NOVA classification 4. Crazy, but there you are. Next slide, please. Home territory. All of you who make cakes will know it has got 4 ingredients: flour, sugar, eggs, and butter. When you make it at home, it's NOVA 1. But if it's made in a factory, all processed foods in an industrial setting is NOVA 4. How can this be? And therefore, next slide, please. 2 years ago, the International Union of Food Scientists brought together 6 global experts in food processing and nutrition to look at this problem, and we came to 2 important and significant observations relevant to our discussion. Can we separate out formulation from processing? It's a very important point, because in the case of the cake I talked about, formulation is a selection of relative quantities of ingredients to manufacture food, and processing is a treatment of food to achieve a desired effect. So, for example, when you have the 4 ingredients in the cake, it's formulation, and when it goes to the oven, it's processing. A very important distinction, because more and more you will see that processing is not the arbitrator of ill health, but it's actually the ingredients or the formulation in it. And I'll come back to that in a moment. Next slide, please. So you will see here one of the most popular papers that show an association between UPF consumption and ill health. And this is the systematic review, but you can see here the forest plots are, yes, they show a marked increase in risk for things like, LDL cholesterol, hypertension, and metabolic syndrome. The next slide, please. Notice something very interesting. And to be fair to the journal authors, all of this data comes from 24-hour recall and food diaries. Those of you who are nutritional will know how insensitive it is to articulate whether you're eating bread that is home cooked or bread that came from a supermarket. So the key point is that the insensitivity of the measurement of ultra-processed food is tenuous, and they admit to it very well. Here you can see here, they say it's very poor quality. But therefore, the point that I need to make is, yes, we need to look at the focus of UPF through the lens of science, but let us not get lulled into simply assuming that more noise is made about UPF, UPF must be truthful. And remember this key point, correlation is not causality, because all of these are associative. Running clinical trials, as you can see, is almost formidably impossible. Next slide, please. Now, what is the relevance of me harping about UPF in our region? Because if we are not careful, UPF will come storming down into our national ethos. Because in our region, compared to many of the Western countries, we have the triple burden of undernutrition, hidden hunger, micronutrients, and overnutrition. And if we are not careful and embrace UPF without any introspection, none of us will have the ability to eradicate micronutrient deficiencies, stunting and wasting, and reduction in overweight. Next slide, please. Just to throw the point into clear clarity, without food fortification, we will not be able to eradicate goiter, anemia, and vitamin A deficiency. So it is an important part of our cultural understanding. Next slide, please. Undernutrition, catch-up growth. How on earth are we going to make catch-up growth from home-cooked foods? You know very well that RTF is a high-energy, high-protein foods, is processed. So therefore, if you throw all the baby with the bathwater, we're actually going to be in deep, deep trouble. Next slide, please. And this, I think, I'd like you all to read rather carefully. It's a not very well read paper, but it's a paper from a British group of scientists who looked at the national survey over an 11-year period. And I want to draw your attention to something quite amazing. Almost 50% of foods that are classified as UPF are high in high sugar, salt, and fat, and low in fiber. Surprise, surprise. We, in all of our audience around this table, know the dangers of eating high sugar, fat, salt, and low fiber. So the rhetorical question is it formulation that's the culprit and not processing? And therefore, our unwarranted focus on processing might be actually taking the way from raw, as they say, barking up the wrong tree. And I just want you to bear that in mind. Next slide, please. Just a few weeks ago, a group of British scientists working for the Food Standard Agency made this statement. Until the link between ultra-processed food and UPF and poor health is better understood, the focus of official public advice should remain on avoiding the known threats that all of you have talked about. High fat, sugar, and salt, and I would add low fiber content. We must guard against the possibility that the people in our society who are already most at risk of not being able to afford eat healthy foods are not put in an even worse position as we continue to investigate the links between some ultra-processed foods and poor health. And our next speakers will talk more about this. And I want to end this with, next slide, please. Yeah, I went this thought. So if the NOVA classification in our region is strictly applied in Asia, many successful food forestry programs and development of RUTF to treat undernutrition may become seriously challenged. The unintentional consequence of applying the NOVA classification will impose progress in treating undernutrition and further delay Asia's desire to meet our Millennium Development Goals. Proponents of NOVA classification need to consider the nutritional needs of billions of people living in Asia. So the current classification may have to have some modification, and therefore unintended consequences must be abated. In order to globally relevant future refinement, it must have refinement clearly of the NOVA classification, must include experts from Asia, Africa, and Latin America who understand the needs, dietary habits, and challenges in their own region. And ladies and gentlemen, let me leave you with a thought. Much as we like to embrace good science, we must have introspective rigor in accepting them without being blind, and remind us that we must shape our own destiny. Thank you very much.
Professor Jaya Kumar, very well put forth thoughts, arguments about ultra-processed food, and we should all, as you mentioned, seriously think about whether we want to jeopardize our efforts to alleviate double burden malnutrition in this region. Thank you. Please stay on, and we will have some discussions later on. We move on to the next eminent speaker in our panel. So Professor Aman Wirakatrakusuma. Well, let me put on the slide. Yeah. This is another icon in food and nutrition in the region, and from IPMI Institute, an Indonesian Academy of Food and Nutrition. And he's a rector of IPMI Institute, International Business School in Jakarta, and chair of Indonesian Academy of Food and Nutrition, From that alone, you can see his prominence in the Asian region. He's a senior scientist at the CIFAR Center, IPB University, senior advisor to the Indonesian Association of Food Technologies, and member of the Board of Trustees in AOC. So I will not spend too much time on his biodata. Let's move on to listen to Professor Aman sharing about his thoughts on beyond processed foods.
Thank you very much, Dr. T, and thank you for the invitation. It's an honor for me to listen to all the country representative and a very inspiring, previous speech by Professor Jayakumar. So I just would like to probably add some more additional information for what he has done excellently in his presentation. So let me see.
We can see your slide, Prof.
The way that I'm going to present in this presentation, after listening to all the country representatives talking about the food-based dietary guidelines and also mentioning about ultra-processed food, also highly processed food. But for me, after listening to Prof. Jaya lecture, I think I would like to bring you together how that we can revisit discussing this title, the title, and also how that we can reframe this issue within the context of Southeast Asia. Because the question that we would like to address to all of you, whether can one classification model explain all food system globally? That's the concern of Professor Jaya mentioned to you. Next slide, please. So in the context of global narratives, links ultra-processed food with the chronic diseases, there are some, again, report for that. However, if we can see the background of the study on the research done, mostly the evidence come from the high-income countries, where UVF contribute up to 60% of their energy intake. So scientifically, again, we must distinguish, as Professor Jaya mentioned, is it the correlation within a specific system versus the universal causation? What is causing that problem is? The next slide. So we see there is a structural difference. For example, in Southeast Asia, the structure is different. UPF, the study that we have done in Jakarta area, is only contribute between 10 to 20%. Diets are still dominated by staples, home cooking, and many street foods. And the diet they are eating is heavily related to our local culture, as has been mentioned by all country representatives. Therefore, the exposure and the risk drivers are fundamentally different with the one that we see in the Western countries. And the Southeast Asia, again, I consider is not a UPF dominated system. So we are still heavily based on our traditional method in cooking and also providing the food for the family. Next slide, please. In the context of Indonesia, most of energy comes from unprocessed foods and cooking ingredients. And as you know that small and medium enterprises mostly produce processed food, while the portion of these SMEs in the country is now contributing up to about 99%, where the large food industry is around 1%. And the study in Jakarta, consumption of UVF is around 15 to 16%. So definitely UVF plays a relatively small role, but non-UPF such as street food, home cooking, and the high exposure to sugar and cooking oil is the one that contribute a lot on this diet. Therefore, the issue, again, I agree with what Professor Jaya mentioned, that the issue is not the processing, but how the food is prepared and how the food is consumed. Next slide. Many real foods, as mentioned also in the US dietary guidelines, are not necessarily healthy. For example, the sweet beverages with high in sugar, fried foods, this real food, people eating on the street, highly content of degraded oils, and meals high in salt. So the real drivers are sugar, salt, and fat. It's not processing itself. The next slide. So in this slide, I think we have, or we must avoid demonizing food processing, because as mentioned strongly by Prof. Jaya again, is important for food safety. It's important to extend the shelf life. It's important in programs of fortification where millions of lives have been saved. Therefore, these food are labeled ultra-processed as the classification is a paradox. I think we have to be, again, very careful in adopting these terms. The next slide. So I believe that it should be an approach in the system, approach to clarify this one. Again, I think in the system, we consider that processing is an enabling layers where there are formulation, but there are also consumption. Formulation that using food additives, sugar, salt, or cooking oil as the key driver, and the consumption is the one that amplify and the impact of eating that particular diet. So processing is not the root cause. Formulation and behavior are the cause for that. Next slide. Just to probably underline the importance of IUFO's proposal, where Professor Jaya is one of the task force in that group, about the PRISM, where this PRISM concept is to capture the complexity, where it evaluates food across 6 dimensions. So dimension of nutrition, safety, affordability, convenience, taste, and sustainability. So there is no single dimension is sufficient. We have to consider all these dimensions in order to be able to judge that is a healthy diet or not. The healthy diet food system must be in a balanced condition. Processing support many of these dimensions, especially in safety, access, and fortification. Next slide. I think this is important when we are talking about policy implication. I heard the report, a lot of countries put this into the regulation. So I think this is very important issue before we come into that conclusion, because this lead a clear policy direction where we have to focus on reformulation. We have to protect the beneficial of processing. We have to also improve the informal food system. And we have to define the guideline and the context, specifically that, match with our situation in Southeast Asia. So there is no simply eliminating a category of foods. So finally, in closing, I would like to underline that the issue is not processed versus real food. So the real question is how food system combine processing, formulation, and consumption to influence health. And increasingly, we need integrated approaches, including using the AI to understand and to design better diets. So the message is simple. Food science is not a problem. It is part of the solution. Processing is not the problem. Formulation is. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Ahmad, for very clear further application from what Professor Jaya has mentioned. And whereas Prof. Jaya talked about the lack of rigorous scientific rigor of the classification, myths, classification of foods and lack of scientific rigor in association of UPF intake and the NCDs. Professor Aman, you further build on and talk about the real situation in Southeast Asia. Demonizing processed food is not going to be helpful to anyone. And you also emphasize that we should be really scrutinizing what we really need in this region, street food. Also, you mentioned quite a few times in your presentation. Thank you, Professor Aman. Please stay on for some questions coming up later. Let's move on to the third speaker in this panel, Professor Purwijatno Haryadi. I know Professor Purwijatno from his work in the Codex Alimentarius, the international food safety food standard system. Professor Pur is Southeast Asia Food and Agriculture Science and Technology CFA Center, IPB University Bogor, and a professor in food processing engineering. As I mentioned, he is very popular in Codex Alimentarius system. He was vice chair at one time, still very active in the Codex Alimentarius system. He will now build on and amplify further in Indonesian case, how ultra-processed food and processed food really, it should not be the focus in our Southeast Asia context, especially Indonesia. Professor Pur, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. T. Let me share my screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Secretary has done, okay.
Can I share
Okay.
myself,
Yeah.
please? So it will be...
Let Prof do that.
Yes, thank you.
Better control.
Yes.
Okay, please. Yeah. Yes. Coming up.
Okay.
Not yet. Okay.
Thank you. Again, thank you very much for the opportunity to share with all of you. Good afternoon. It's very difficult for me to speak, to talk after Professor Jaya and Professor Aman. Yeah. Okay, but again, thank you very much. And I have a disclaimer to be expressed. I am not a nutritionist, obviously, so my perspective will be grounded on food science, food safety, and food regulatory, especially in the Codex system and also in Indonesia situation. Okay, so I will start by highlighting the term of reference given to me, given to us here, developed by Dr. T and team. There are several issues, debate regarding the dietary guideline. Yeah, I will not read this, the four issues that has been identified, but I just want to say that within this very hot and broad debate, I will focus more on the aspect of a processed or highly processed or ultra processed versus the real food. So this is actually a request from Dr. T. So I will try to focus on that. Okay. But before that, I think I have to mention that all of this issue identified is actually a real one, and we need to address this carefully because the issue reflect the tension between science, policy, and also practical eating practice in our society. Yeah. So let me begin by the basic question: what actually is a processed food? Yeah. I'm trying to refer this with the definition coming from Codex Alimentarius, saying that processed food means the product, which is the food, obviously, resulting from the application of physical, chemical, or biological processes to a primary food commodity, such as the raw material. Yeah. That's coming from Codex. Yeah. Another thing, I'm referring to the definition of processed food from the Indonesian Drug and Food Authority. Processed food is food that has undergone a process by any method, Yeah, this is very similar with Codex definition, with or without additive. So this is from BPOM, from the Indonesian Drug and Food Authority. So both Codex and BPOM actually define processing in a very broad definition. Yeah. That include simply cutting, heating. This is a physical treatment. Drying, freezing. Also include fermentation, curing, enzymatic processes. This is a biological one. So traditional or everyday activities such as cooking, boiling rice, frying tempeh, pasteurizing milk, all are processing, and the result is a processed food. Even the term freshly prepared food is actually processed food in this definition. And I would like also to note that at this moment, I think there is no definition of highly processed food and also ultra processed food in the international literature and also regulatory document. And now, what is the real food then? So this is the confusing one, in my opinion. Yeah. So there is no formal definition as well. There is no formal scientific or regulatory definition about real food, not in Codex, not in national regulation. Even in the major policy document that I mentioned before about the US Dietary Guideline, for example, the term highly processed food is used in the general sense, but there is no formally defined, formal definition about highly processed food and that document as well. So in practice, what they meant by real food is usually, again, this is usually or generally, refer to fresh or minimally processed food, natural or unrefined food, or home prepared or traditional food. So this make the term actually inherently subjective and also inconsistent. So and also it may offer simplify food choices to become real and unreal, and this may complicate the effectiveness of the dietary guideline in this case. Yeah. So this distinction between processed and real food is not a scientific distinction, in my opinion. Okay, and this creates problem because when such distinction is used as a basis for dietary guidance, it can oversimplify, as I mentioned before, complex food system and lead to the inconsistent understanding about the real potential outcome or impact of the food consumption. What matters more, it's not debating about whether food is processed or real, but more focused on what truly matters: its safety, nutritional composition, and how it is consumed, and particularly in Southeast Asia, and especially also in Indonesia, how it is prepared and handled before consumption. That's a very important one. Okay. So this is some data. I think I will not go this. Prof. Aman already mentioned, but let's see some of the essential information coming from this publication. This is from Jakarta area, as mentioned by Prof. Aman. As shown in this table, actually, this is just a snapshot of food consumption in Indonesia, so that the intake is distributed across multiple sources and with a significant contribution from food consumed outside the home. So this has been highlighted before by several countries. And this pattern is likely similar across Southeast Asia. So this is homemade food, household, and this is street or restaurant fast food, and this is the processed food. Okay, so home prepared food, processed food, and also food consumed outside the home, including street food and restaurant, all are contributing to the nutritional status of the community. Okay, so this again, this is just to highlight that the sources are not separate and they are interconnected, in fact, and together they shape the dietary intake including sugar, salt, and fat consumption. Yeah. More importantly, this also point to a critical aspect of the diet: how food is prepared, handled, and distributed, and also maintained before consumption, especially for homemade food and also street and restaurant food. So that's probably something that need to be highlighted, need to be included in the debate. Okay, I will talking about debate on dietary guideline. It's usually focused on nutrient, food group, and also portion size, and often it is overlooked about how food is handled in practice, how time, temperature, condition of the food during preparation and also distribution, and how the real life eating environment. So this is very important about the safety. Okay, so this is the key gap in my opinion. I think we need to highlight that a healthy diet that is unsafe is not a healthy diet. So this is the prerequisite that need to be considered as well. This is some data from Indonesia again. This is published by Indonesian Agency of Drug and Food Control, highlighting that actually the source of food poisoning is associated with household food, food services, and also street food, street vendor. Food service and street vendor here is outside home, yeah, and here is inside home. And it is consistent across a year, 2019 until 2022, okay? And this is the more focus on the data on 2022. So food services here is dominating, and also street food is very much dominating as well, and also household. This is again coming from Indonesian Agency of Drug and Food Control. The same or similar data, not exactly the same, is also published by Ministry of Health in 2022. Again, household food, food services, and also here street food. This is especially in the school area, and also some type of food are not well identified here. But this actually highlight a very important aspect. Knowing that the dominant input or consumption of food is coming from household and also coming from street food, restaurant, and everything. This very much highlight that the need to include in the dietary guideline, not only focus on nutrition, what to eat, but also about food safety, how food is handled. Again, as I show you the data, most of the food consumed is actually coming from household and also food outside the home. And also how actually, this is very important, especially in Indonesia, for example, when many people are having problem in trying to access a healthy food. Yeah. So in general, I just want to highlight this one, how to really develop a dietary guideline that reflect the real work practices. Yeah. Must also consider about cultural, and then also align with the local food system. Yeah. So in closing, I just want to highlight that we should move beyond the simplified narrative debate about processed and real food. In fact, real food, there is no definition about that. And I think we should start to think to integrate nutrition, safety, and the context, local context especially. That's why I very much in agreement with Prof. Jaya and also Prof. Aman that we as a Southeast Asia community need to be more active in trying to in trying to establish the more relevant dietary guideline for the region to reflect the real world eating practice in our region. With that, I would like to thank you again for your attention, and thank you for the opportunity to Southeast Asia Public Health network, Dr. T. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Purviyatno. And I think you have also narrowed down on, I'm very pleased that you have been focusing on dietary guidelines, and that with this focus on, or inappropriate focus on processed food, ultra-processed food, we are not getting the real message that we eat safe foods, nutritious foods, and not whether it's minimally processed or medium processed or highly processed. So I think we have to live in the real world and adapt what is appropriate for the region. So you talk about real foods and street foods, Professor Aman, all of us also talk about that. So I thought maybe I'll share with you a few slides that I prepared with my colleagues on this eating away from home culture, which is a real scenario in this region. Just share with you a few slides on this. My slide is here. Where is my slide? Share. Is it this one? You see my slide?
Here I have to share the file.
Is this the one? Is this the one? Shall we?
Yeah, I already projected the slide. Can you see?
Oh, I have to stop share. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Shakwi. So Shakwi and I did this slide actually for the Singapore Nutrition and Athletic Association. I trimmed away a lot of the things that Professor Jaya and Prof. Aman and Prof. Pur already mentioned. I focus on the meals away from home, which is a real food environment in Southeast Asia. And I would urge that we focus on this. And Professor Aman and Prof. Pur also mentioned that in Indonesia, for example, the processed food component is not that much compared to other countries. Next slide, shall we? Yeah. So I think when we talk about the food environment, focus has so much been on processed food, ultra-processed food. I think is a wrong emphasis, and really the culture in this region is eating out of home, and many people eat 2 or 3 times out of the house. So I think we really should not ignore that part of the food environment and not just focus on processed food. Next slide. So even WHO in the 2022 report also highlighted that meals away from home is a reality. And this report talked about a workshop, a case control study looking at what are the strategies that are needed to improve these meals that are eaten out of home, street foods, restaurants, cafes, and so on. Yeah. Next slide. Yeah. So this is a scene so common, so familiar to many of us in Southeast Asia. Yeah, I'm sure you see this in Bangkok, in Vietnam, in Singapore, hawker centers. Next slide. More of these photos. Yeah. And next slide. And also not just that, you don't just eat from a restaurant. You also get a meal delivered to your house. In various platforms. And so many of these meals are now conveniently delivered to the house. Next slide. And when we look at all these meals, studies have been conducted, they are truly, many of them are unhealthy in many ways. They are nutritionally imbalanced, lack of fiber. I really think we do focus too much on salt, sugar, and oil, and we neglect the fiber and whole grains and vegetables, and we really should give more emphasis to the positive nutrients that we sometimes ignore. Yeah? So WHO 2022 report also highlighted the poor dietary quality of these foods, and that really we must do something about this sector of the food environment. Yeah. Next slide. Yeah. So these are some of the papers that Shakwi and myself found published already, highlighting the high salt, sugar, and oil in these foods, also imbalanced nature of these foods. Next slide. And then also studies have pointed out that taking frequent consumption of these meals away from home increases the risk to NCDs, obesity, and the related NCD diseases. So next slide. So these are more of these publications that we found, published paper that we found. Yeah. Next slide. So recognizing this culture in the region, what we can do is make healthier alternatives available. So we need to impress upon the vendors that if they can make healthier recipes. On the other hand, we also impress upon the consumers to opt for healthier foods. So in Singapore, Malaysia, we have started to talk about healthier dining programs. This could be something that the countries in the region should look further into. Next slide. We talk about improvement, increasing the literacy of the consumers, nudging them to look for healthier alternatives, especially when eating out. Cooking at home doesn't also mean healthy foods. So really, nutrition literacy is something we seriously should look into. Greater efforts in promoting awareness of eating out. And next slide. Dietary guidelines maybe we can provide some form of guidance to consumers. We could do nutritional profiles like what we have for packaged foods, nutritional profile, healthy eating choices, and so on, healthier choices. How about some profile based on meals or dishes? Some kind of guideline can be given, and Japanese have developed this guideline. And Shokwi and myself, and Professor Rewadi, a few others, we are all putting together a special publication, a supplement focused on eating away from home culture and describing some of the nutritional profiles based on meals and dishes that food vendors can use, consumers can use as guidelines to provide healthier recipes when they eat outside. Next slide. Also, dietary guidelines do not emphasize enough about healthy eating when a person dines out or nudging people to cook more healthier meals at home. So in this review that we did for 6 FBDG in the region, we only found Malaysia giving emphasis to this. When you dine out, make an effort to look for healthier alternatives. I think that's my last slide. Yeah, I think this okay. Yeah, shall we? What we would like to emphasize is that we really need to consider meals away from home as an important sector of the food environment. Therefore, because these are not nutritious, not healthy foods, therefore we should make efforts to improve health, to make healthier meals available by the food vendors, also improving nutritional awareness amongst the consumers. Yeah. I think we have some 15 minutes left for some quick discussion, and I see only a few points in the Q&A. And for example, there was one question about, so what do Southeast Asia countries think about this UPF, and what would their position be? From the national reports that we see, we already see some responses, comments by country representatives. Maybe I can invite Professor Jaya and Professor Aman. After listening to the 3 talks, do you have something more to add before we open up to other members? Quick comments, you, Professor Jaya, Professor Aman, and Professor Poor.
Yeah, thank you very much. Firstly, I think I must congratulate all the 3 speakers that followed me. There was a consistency of thought, and I thought we were so complimentary. So well done to the 3 of you. Now, to answer the question, I think to some extent, many of us have tried to answer 3 components of that question. First, how relevant is the UPF narrative that's big and emerging in the Western world to the ASEAN region? And I think the short answer is we need to be very introspective of not just swallowing the whole pill, lock, stock, and barrel. Let's be very specific. In other words, you and many others on the talk have said there are bigger issues than the UPF narrative. Pearl talked about street food. He talked very eloquently about food safety being more important than UPF. So the priority of what we need must clearly be part of our journey, not just simply take and then cut and paste into our diet guidelines, what I was saying, oh, UPF is being claimed to be bad and makes all of us sick in the Western world, therefore it must be true. That's point number 1. Point number 2 is I think these kinds of forums are very, very illuminating because it allows us to come together from the 12 or whatever groups of ASEAN countries, 11, and then the bigger Asia, China, India, all these people together. We need to form, as one of the colleagues, I think it was Pooh and Aman said, we need to start making our journey disruptive from evidence-based science that comes from our region. And I think that's what's lucky. You really can't make policy without data. Now, all four of you, we have shown data that's coming from real life, real time, and that's what makes these discussions and these fora very important. So my final comment will be, UPF is not going to wash away quickly because it's got a momentum of its own. But the key point is for us to be able to be reflective and deflective based on good science, but most of all, applying it to the relevance of our region. That's the take-home message. Thank you.
I think you have very eloquently summarized the main key points for us all to think about. And Professor Aman, some quick words from you.
Yeah, I think just again, three of us, Professor Jaya and Professor Poor, are the fellows from the Academy of Food Science and Technologies. So the way that we are perceived these issues, how that this scientific evidence should support the policy formulation, including also in the debate in the Codex Alimentarius Commission.
Absolutely.
So IUFOS, again, I'm speaking as the past president of IUFOS. I think we need to work together with all the adhering bodies in the region. As you know that within IUFOS organization, ASEAN is the strongest association of food science technologies under fifth star. So I think with this initiative, I think we should again champion how to do the good study and research and evidence base, and make sure that the way that we are suggesting the policy to the government based on our local diet and local culture. And those evidence is still lacking in our region. So I would like to encourage all the the scientists and the fellows involved, and together with the government as well as probably the sponsor who can provide the funding for research, to strengthen our position that ASEAN is really is a very example, very strong again compared to the Latin America who proposed this NOVA classification. So we should come up with the better argument and data that this is again give the better probably analysis and definition to understand, to make the public also understand. And the last comment is about culture, Dr. T. I think I'm glad with your meals away from home. I think this is the one reflecting the culture of ASEAN. We are eating out a lot of because we enjoy it. Eating is not only just because of highly nutrition, but we also happy and enjoy with the family. So I think this should be is quality of life, because you have a good nutrition, but you are happy and safe food, and giving you a very good diet for your health. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Aman. Yes, you hit the nail on the head, and we enjoy the food, but we do eat within moderation and variety and the amounts that we need. Professor Paul, quick. Professor Paul,
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I couldn't agree more with what has been said by Professor Jaya and also Professor Raman.
Try to mute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Please. Yeah.
So I just want to highlight that, and specifically, I think I would like to encourage all of us here, or ask all of us to not just, because this is very popular, the number of research publication and so on is so huge, and as if this is the things that has to be done, has to be adopted. So this is something that should be avoided by trying to generate data from our region, unique to our region, and really to examine the concept or the classification coming from NOVA, for example, is that really appropriate? Is that really applicable in our region or not? So that's my 2 cents about this. So let's generate data. Let's generate fact coming from practice from our region, and then build based on that. That's all, Dr. T. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So three of you have emphasized the need to be relevant to the region. I think it's very clear. The ASEAN use strongly highlight ASEAN and also Asian as a cohesive force, and we should have more data evidence on our own. We don't just copy paste from other parts of the world. The council members of the South Asia Public Health Nutrition Network, are there any quick thoughts from any of you? Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, or Myanmar? Yeah, I don't. Yeah, okay. I see one maybe pertinent point that I can use to conclude for this webinar. There is raining heavily here, and the whole sky seems to be opening up, So I think it seems that many dietary guidelines in South Asia included minimizing UPF or processed food. And given that this narrative is not relevant for this region. So I would just like to wind up and say that we should, as all the three speakers, panel members have mentioned, we should get our own data in the region, do what's relevant. I think we should go back to the nutrition science that we all have, and that is looking at nutritional value of a meal or a packaged food. We should all look at the entire food environment, and that is processed food as well as meals away from home, and that we should all use that as a basis for the food dietary guidelines in the region. And I hope that all of us will work on this together and build more sound policies and recommendations for governments or communities in this region. I think we have finished the time at 5 p.m. So I thank you all so much for attending this webinar. And there are still some questions. Some may be a bit too much to deal with in this particular webinar, but certainly we can have other opportunities to discuss further on, especially on how are dietary guidelines disseminated in the region. I think that's a very important question from the website. We do not have time to discuss this at this time, but really we can build dietary guidelines, but are they being disseminated effectively to the people? I think CPHN Network will try to work on this, and we will see you in the next webinar of the CPHN Network.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. T and the
so
team.
much.
Very well done. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Dr. T. Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Jaya.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you,
All the best.
Prof.
Bye-bye.
Aman,
Wonderful.
and
Good to
Jaya,
see you. Yeah,
Dr.
bye.
T. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Dr. T, usually you want to take a photo with the faculty
Oh
member.
yeah, I think
The
it's better.
speakers,
Take a picture.
picture with the speakers, yeah.
With the speaker and the faculty
Thank you very
members.
The
much.
faculty. Professor Pangdi, yeah, please stay.
Cakap
We
Professor
have the
Mai,
speakers and the
can you
chairperson.
hear the thunder? Can you hear the thunder? It's really
Yeah.
very loud. Yeah. Professor Poor, yeah.
Yes, sorry. On the way to airport.
Somewhere else.
Okay. Come before we lose the screen. Dr. Imelda, yeah.
Well done, Dr. T.
Yes,
come.
very good. Very good.
Good.
Let's
Very
take a
good.
Good initiative.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. T.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Moini,
you
can
so
you
much.
quickly take a picture?
Thank you,
Yeah.
Dr. T.
Yeah, I'm trying to click everybody in the screen. Hold on.
Mrs.
Smile.
Vega.
Yeah.
One more
Ancha.
time.
Ancha. Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Just
Raining so heavily here.
yeah, because
Oh.
the
Yeah.
everything still pop up.
Yeah. Okay. Come, we have a good. Yeah. Dr. Luna. Thank you.
You still have 220
Thank you.
participants.
Prof.
Oh my
Hadin.
God.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Huge.
You have a good screen?
Yeah. Thank you, Dr.
Yeah,
T.
I got
Yeah,
it.
thank you, Dr. T.
Pardon.
Bye
Okay.
bye.
Prof.
Okay,
Hadin. Thank you, Prof.
bye-bye.
Hadin.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Welcome.
I'm
you.
done.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Okay.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Bye. Thank you.
Or to get your CGL, yeah, certificate of attendance, please screenshot and reply to a simple question, yeah, information. Yeah. But this also will be on the website, yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Prof.
Dr. T.
Mine.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Going,
Yeah,
you.
bye bye.
Bye. Thank you very much,
going
Dr.
to my
T.
lecture
Thank you,
already.
Prof. Nalini. Yeah. Shakwi.
Oh no, so hujan lebat.
Hujan, really. I feel may lose connection, may trip. Okay, so we have still, but anyway, we will do a report as usual, right? And Shakwi, you work very hard on this, yeah? So thanks. And Moani, Mira, Tanusha. Okay. Yeah, was it on YouTube? I saw a
Yeah.
Dr. Sabin did it, huh? Yeah.
Yes.
Did you check that?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Okay. Was it clear also?
Mm.
Quite clear lah. Yeah. Okay, I think I will not detain you all. We'll catch up on another time lah. Yeah. As a
Okay.
follow-up activity.
Okay,
So
thanks,
we
Dr. T.
talk about
Thanks,
nutrition month.
Uhoy.
Yeah, okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks, Uhoy,
Bye-bye.
Mira, and Shah.
Can stop the broadcast, right?
We can leave meeting, eh?
You can leave. You can stop the meeting. Yeah, okay, bye-bye. Shall we can